presentation of TFNN. The Tom O'Brien Show is produced every business day. Tom takes your phone calls toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-873-7618.
This is awesome. Commentez-vous. We're going over to Paris. What's happening?
Hey, Tom, it's Adam from Paris. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Adam. Yourself?
That's good. Long time no talk. I appreciate everything you've done for me and my family over the years. So,
well, we appreciate you growling problem with us.
Yeah, sir. I've done gold reports and all the softwares and all your books and read it. Generational thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Now, Tom O'Brien.
What's going on, everyone? This is Jacob Shoup. You're watching the Tom O'Brien Show. We had Larry live trading earlier today, which was pretty nice. We always learn a lot of stuff watching Larry trade, kind of how he analyzes those charts. If you're interested in kind of joining that, we do it the second and fourth Friday of every month. You can go ahead and email me at jacob@tfnn.com. We can get you set up on that while we're working on some stuff with the website. You have the composite right now about 0.73%. You have the Dow Jones Industrial off about 0.45%. Of course, the Dow Futures off about roughly the same, down about 0.5%. Yeah, I mean, looking at the composite today, just kind of been marching downwards, obviously bouncing off the low of the day, and I kind of see it settling somewhere around there, at least overall. Let's see here. SPY up about 0.13%, trading right under that 580 level. You have the E-mini up about 0.09% as well. Let's see. So crude, we're kind of surging a little bit again with it, up 2.32%. There's just so much stuff going on that is affecting this market in a major way. We switch between Israel and Palestine, and then, Israel and Iran, and then with everything going on in China. I guess that the leaders of the party over in China are getting together, especially, Xi Jinping will be there to discuss kind of what's going on there. They're having a lot of issues, at least right now, cracks starting to show in their real estate. So we'll kind of see what happens with that. I have a feeling, there might be some kind of some deeper reforms that will need to be made going forward. This, of course, was necessary, at least if you look, how China views themselves, right? This very vast, rapid growth was necessary to fulfill kind of what Xi Jinping and the party wanted to do. But it seems like they might have to kind of pivot a little bit away, if they're not going to just do a sole stimulus with the whole country. You have the gold contract up about 0.16%, still trading under its high of 2,757, right now at 2,753. You have silver about sideways right now at 33.78, copper up about 0.39%. The bonds kind of going down in price right now. Celsius, we have earnings coming in on Celsius November 5th. I have no position right now in Celsius, and I really don't want to take one even before earnings. It seems like there's some pretty irregular call action around 31.50 for the end of November, just kind of interesting. A lot of times can be seen as a bullish signal, definitely when you're making lows here and not able to get off them. Kind of see what happens with it. You had that big article that was released. It was a study saying that a third of teens still enjoy Celsius and drink it. It just seems, though, that they kind of had basically a purchase of oversupply from Pepsi, and it made everyone think that they were doing a lot better than in theory they really were, and Pepsi is still trying to get through that volume that they had purchased. So we'll see what happens. It could be cause for some pretty stellar movement in Celsius if they have anything neat, but from what I can read and kind of what's expected, besides for that irregular kind of call volume for the end of next month, I can't really see a reason for getting into it. And this isn't really, attractive at this level. You have high volume battles here. You have a small kind of gap up from 28.20, the low here. You have next day a little bit higher, closing, roughly around 30.36, and then a gap up and then some nice movement to the downside, closing that gap on low volume. You know, you might have a consolidation at this point. I think really at this time, it's going to be a news driven, right? So we'll see what happens with them. Let's see, GE off a little bit, Disney off a little bit. Not really like a whole lot going on, I feel like. Of course, NVIDIA now is the most valuable company in the world. We can take a look here. Trading at a market cap of, yeah, oh my gosh, 3.4 trillion. That is pretty nuts to me. I think we were talking about this a little bit yesterday. I didn't have really enough time to go through all of it, but I was concerned somewhat of the stint of flow of NVIDIA chips into China and how that was going to kind of impact them. It's always kind of weird to function in how India will operate in the world economy. You've had this idea of India being a world power by this time, and then you know, we extend it out a few years. I do think India has the potential to really become a massive manufacturing powerhouse in the event you know, we go on with China and maybe we don't want to do so much business with them, or the rest of the people become, you know, more middle class, become more educated. They don't want to do these kind of long factory work things. India still has the potential, quite a large workforce. Of course, Vietnam is getting some of that as well. But it seems like NVIDIA has found a place to kind of sell some more chips in India, which is awesome. I was talking about this yesterday. You have Tech Mahindra using NVIDIA's chips and software to develop Indus 2.0. It's an AI model in Hindi. Infrastructure providers Tata Communications and Yoda Data Services also plan to buy and use tens of thousands of H100 chips by the end of the year. So that's nice. They can still profit on other countries, namely in the West, buying Blackwell, and still be able to sell quite a few of their H100 chips that they're able to pump out quite well. Let's see here. Yeah, so other technology services, especially Wipro, have been using NVIDIA software to develop custom AI applications for corporate clients. Wipro trained 225,000 employees on AI platforms from NVIDIA. That's huge. And again, I think this is an argument to make too, namely with Palantir, which we have earnings coming out for them as well. But when you train so many people on these kind of systems, it is hugely positive for those companies. You know, it costs so much money to get people off that kind of stuff, train them onto new things. And India does benefit from a lot of forward thinkers who are willing to, especially like in the tech realm, who are willing to take, I would say, greater risks than other people. But I would say too that this is such a vast investment that I think NVIDIA has a really nice market that's budding in India, especially as that country develops more and more and more. And they absolutely have been players recently on a global scale, which is kind of nice. As well, TSMC, which I'm starting to like this even more, right? It seems like they're really just destroying all of their kind of barriers that they have. Let's see what they're trading up today. Yep, 2.94%. We'll talk about them, but their yields in Arizona are unreal for making sure that the chips come out functional. It's a 4% gain, which is nuts. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we get back and go over some other stuff.
If you spend any time online researching trading techniques on how to begin your trading journey, you've no doubt come across many folks who push Forex trading as a way to make big money quickly. Unfortunately, there are equally as many stories of these so-called Forex professionals just looking to make a quick buck off aspiring traders without actually teaching the ins and outs of the Forex market. This is what sets Teddy Keckstad's The Tiger Forex Report off the riffraff. Every Monday, former Chicago Mercantile Exchange member and author Teddy Keckstad releases his Tiger Forex Report newsletter, where he dives into the complex world of Forex and takes time to actually teach you his methods that have made him so successful in the fast-paced and rewarding world of Forex trading. Furthermore, all subscribers receive access to archived live streams of Teddy's, where he provides university-level education to help you in Forex trading. All first-time subscribers receive a 30-day money-back guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Forex awaits.
The stock market is a delicate, interconnecting web of commodities, equities, and trader psychology. When one string of the web is pulled, it has a ripple effect across the broader market. This is where opportunity lies. But how are you to gather all of this information into one cohesive model when you're already spending your energy looking for any possible trade opportunities? Luckily, you don't have to worry about that, as Tom O'Brien has brought all important market news to you in one single newsletter, Market Insights. Market Insights provides a daily overview of what's happening in the indexes, bonds, gold, and more. Follow along with Tom daily as he analyzes the components that affect the overall movement of the stock market, giving insight into how each one plays either a bullish or bearish role. Tom also analyzes specific equities that he believes has the potential to make huge returns, and his track record proves his analysis right. All first-time subscribers receive a 30-day money-back guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Don't let the market leave you in the dust.
Building wealth trading in the stock market seems impossible to most people. They think it's too volatile and risky. Most people aren't going to take the time to educate themselves on how to do it right. But you're not most people, are you? At TFNN, you'll get the guidance you need to refine your strategies and techniques to invest like a pro. Because you'll be a pro. All TFNN subscriptions, books, software, and courses are available at TFNN.com. And I'm even going to tell you how to get them for less. Use TFNN's Tiger Dollars and you'll get up to a 20% bonus on your purchase. And once you apply them to your account, Tiger Dollars are automatically used for all future or recurring charges. Tiger Dollars also never expire, are fully transferable, and are a great way to add savings to your newsletters or services. Become the investor you were born to be at TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-873-7618.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Jacob Shoup. You're watching the Tom O'Brien Show. I was talking a little bit about TSMC before we went to the break. I'm looking at Intel right now. We can talk a little bit about them in a moment. So it's kind of in the same area of conversation. 3% right now in TSM. Okay. So this is the big deal, right? So the share of chips manufactured at the facility in Phoenix that are usable is about 4 percentage points higher than in comparable facilities in Taiwan. That's the president of TSMC's U.S. division. Said that in a webinar on Wednesday. The success rate obviously is pretty critical in the semiconductor industry. You just get more output for your input, which is fantastic. So these guys are in line to win that $6.6 billion from the government, about $5 billion in loans and 25% in tax credits. They have a bunch of fabs in Arizona right now. The wins aren't finalized from it, but I am just feeling like it doesn't make any logical sense for Intel to win these things. I don't see in any realm how they're competitive, right? And so I get this news today, right? I'm reading on the program I have that sends me a bunch of news. It's like, wow, Intel's about to invest $28 billion to build Ohio chip factories. This was from Reuters, and it said essentially that was kind of based on incorrect news. So it says here, this is from Reuters, they posted afterwards, story on Intel building 2 factories in Ohio was based on outdated information. It has been withdrawn. There will be no substitute. And this is really the source of that information. So I don't know if there is some plan Intel has and just the exacts were incorrect that Reuters reported. But the fact that there's not going to be a substitute kind of suggests to me that the whole thing might have been incorrect. And I couldn't find anything else that didn't basically cite Reuters as the initial kind of claimant of this. They're up 2.24% on it. I would assume probably from that news because nothing really happened. They have this new CPU coming out, the Ultra 9 285K, and they're just not that different either. So, look, this is what's even weirder about this. This is Arrow Lake, okay? This is a new CPU. Again, we're not talking about GPUs, but one of the big things that's attractive behind Intel is their foundry division, right? Where in theory they could create some of these GPUs for other companies like what TSMC does. So it says that Arrow Lake isn't notable for what it does, but also for what it is, as the first set of desktop x86 processors shipped, but not fabricated by Intel, TSMC's involvement in the production is but one new standout. What is that supposed to tell people who are hyped up about the potential for Intel's foundry division? And then, additionally, if you want to talk about who's going to get these grants and who's going to benefit the most, you have Qualcomm coming out and saying that Intel can't right now produce their chips that they want at a yield that's economically viable. I don't like it. And it's obviously any kind of move. I mean, this isn't really a move up. You know what I mean? We're up 2.2%, and that's good, but it's on no volume whatsoever. You have this massive gap you have to trump in this company. And, I think that if they had anything massive that they wanted, that they had in the back pocket, they probably would have alluded to it, already. And they haven't. Excuse me. And there's not really anything that's exceptional about their CPU. No extensive hyper-threading, minor performance gains. So anyways, it's just lackluster right now for this company. So we'll see what happens. I think you run... I don't know how the U.S. government does stuff with TSMC, right? You have the U.S., and I'm trying to think this through. You have a U.S. division of it, which in theory would be maybe acceptable to the U.S. government, giving them a bunch of grants to create a native kind of chip manufacturing industry. There's no doubt we're getting back to this kind of era of American industrialism, especially along these lines. Even with things such as batteries, which we're going to talk about a little bit as well. But Intel was like a shoo-in for this. I mean, it's an American company. I mean, Intel, it's right up there with all your other names. And they just kind of blew it, and I don't see how they come back from it in this kind of way. And I think splitting off the foundry is probably their best bet. I don't think their foundry is efficient. They could maybe get bought out. I don't know if there's any legalities behind that. But right now, I don't see anything appealing about Intel. And I think the Raptor Lake debacle was horrible. I think the accusations that they misled investors earlier in the year is bad, even if it's not true. It's just bad press. And a stock moving up on news that wasn't accurate is also horrible. So anyways, that's kind of how I feel about that whole area. I'm extraordinarily bullish on TSMC, I would say, especially after learning that they're somehow doing something that is creating basically a more efficient yield. And SK Hynix, which is a supplier for NVIDIA, is beating Q3 profits, beating forecasts, and this just shows, again, a higher demand for NVIDIA products. And when NVIDIA goes up, TSM is, their demand is obviously going to go up as well. And so that's kind of what we're cooking with. We could talk a little bit about nuclear. You have some people arguing from Constellation today in, not sure if it's Congress, but some kind of in front of some kind of government body about restarting 3 Mile Island, which is huge. You have Pacific Fusion, gets $900 million in funding. This is pretty solid. So it's attempting to create a nuclear fusion-based energy source. This is a little bit different than what we're talking about. We're not talking about fusion in any capacity, at least when I'm speaking about it. But it's raised $900 million, putting the startup near the top of a growing industry. The company said the Series A funding round was led by General Catalyst, with participation from Breakthrough Energy Ventures and an A-list group of individual investors, including Citadel founder Ken Griffin, Stripe co-founder Patrick Collision, which is an awesome name. I think it's probably more Collison. Venture capitalist John Doerr and Mustafa Soliman. That's the head of the consumer AI business at Microsoft. So that's interesting. It's crazy to me how much money is still able to get dumped in with, obviously you had some biotech companies blow up right now with this. And fusion is something that is not achievable right now. I think there was some kind of moderate advancement recently in the past where the amount of input was less than the output, but that's always the problem with fusion, is that the input is always greater. And I still think, with that, if I recall correctly, after reading the paper and what they were saying, is that the total input was actually greater than the output. It was just the power generated, the power required using the laser that hit the material required less input, essentially. Fusion is still kind of a sketchy area in the sense that you can just continue to dump money and dump money and dump money into it to try to do what the sun does. And fission is just a lot better, at least with what we have. You have UEC right now kind of doing a little bit what I thought was going to happen. You have this kind of bounce for one day, whatever, coming back down. I think it still wants to test this gap in a major way. Still bullish on it. I think this is fantastic volume, as I've been saying consistently. I just need it to come back down around this area and either consolidate on low volume or reject that with some kind of higher volume, and then I will feel that's the best time for me to add to it. But no doubt this conversation is going around on it. I think maybe this round of surge might be over for a little while, which is kind of why I'm thinking of a consolidation. But no doubt we're going to keep seeing some really solid stuff coming out of the nuclear area. Folks, stay right there. We'll be right back.
Many trading newsletters attempt to focus on a narrow set of equities or commodities. While this works for some, it oftentimes misses many opportunities that possess huge gain potential. But how is an independent trader supposed to scan the entire market looking for these hidden opportunities? One simple answer: the opening call newsletter. Basil Chapman, developer of the Chapman Wave trading methodology, has been trading the markets for longer than most trading influencers have been alive. And over that time, he has honed his methodology in order to accurately call movements in a wide range of equities, from semiconductors to uranium to key indices and so much more. Basil is old school, taking the time to educate the trader while also giving his insights into key indices, selective stocks, and more. Opening Call subscribers also receive access to dozens of educational live streams that can be accessed at any time for your edification. All first-time subscribers receive a 30-day money-back guarantee. So ignore the pop trading influencers and start learning time-tested technical analysis.
Steve Rhodes started his trading career as a student almost 20 years ago, and the student has now become the master. Steve won the prestigious Timer of the Year award in 2018 and barely missed that mark again in 2019, finishing at number 2 for the year. An amazing accomplishment. Steve Rhodes is committed to sharing his techniques and knowledge with anyone who wants to learn, and he shares his vast amount of trading knowledge every day in his Mastering Probability newsletter. Steve's award-winning newsletter, Mastering Probability, is delivered every trading day with updates throughout the afternoon. Sign up for Steve's market newsletter, Mastering Probability, and you'll receive access to 7 of Steve's educational webinars absolutely free. At TFNN, all our newsletters come with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Visit TFNN.com and try Mastering Probability 30 days risk-free today. TFNN, educating investors.
The consistency you're looking for is closer than you think. 1 or 2 adjustments are usually all you need to change your equity curve from red to green and keep it there. Come join Larry Pesavento live to learn what separates the winners from the losers. Join Larry Pesavento on the 2nd and 4th Friday of every month for 3 hours of live trading from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Time, where Larry will show you the market setting up and, most important of all, the state of mind of a winning trader. By watching Larry trade, you'll learn the Fibonacci levels, you'll learn how to apply A to B to C to D trading patterns, you'll learn trade management, pattern recognition, and much more. Join Larry October 11th and 25th for more live trading action. Your purchase goes towards 2 sessions, so make sure to sign up now so you don't miss a chance to sit next to Larry as he trades the market live. For all information and to reserve your spot today, go to the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
This portion of the Tom O'Brien Show is brought to you by Direxion's daily leveraged and inverse ETFs. Whether you're a bull or a bear, you choose the direction. Visit Direxion.com. Investing in the funds involves significant risk and should only be utilized by investors who understand the impact of leverage and actively monitor their portfolio. They are not designed to track the underlying index or security for more than a day. Before investing, carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risk, charges, and expenses contained in the prospectus available at Direxion.com. Read carefully. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Welcome back, everyone. Jacob Shoup, you're watching the Tom O'Brien Show. Yeah, and Grey Rock in the Den was even talking about Intel, maybe the first CPU chip in the 70s. They have poor management. That's just what I've been reading consistently about them as well. And then, at least with some spike up in crude oil, Thanks to Dudette for posting this, because in anticipation of Israel's imminent attack, Iran ordered its entire Air Force fighter jets to be airborne. So, you know, man, I've always wanted to just say scramble the jets, because I feel like that'd be pretty fun. But obviously that is a serious matter, and I could see additionally, this kind of going up, and then the reason why they're kind of mobilizing. It's just such a mess in every capacity. And so hopefully we can, get to a time where we're not dealing with that everywhere. At least, to kind of, I guess, wrap up my thoughts on nuclear. I'm more just in with these kind of miners. I think UEC is in a good position. They got the go-ahead by Wyoming to start extracting some more there. CCJ is great. With I think one way we could plan something for a while here, at least on the nuclear reactor guys, so like Oklo and NuScale and everything like that, really has to do with, in the beginning, the start of all of this. This is going to be news driven, and I mean more headline driven in the sense this company is going to start using this. The US government says this is fantastic. We definitely want this. And this whole sector itself is going to just shoot up, which is going to be fantastic. As time goes on, and this is probably going to be a decade or two from now, so I guess it's not necessarily short-term relevant in any way, but I think it's worth thinking about it, because I guess it's just always worth knowing more things. But SMR, right, we don't have any of these things built. I do wonder if we get to a point where the demand from these hyperscalers is so massive that not even the SMRs will be able to compete in a way. I think initially you'll start using them, but it will get to a point where you're just going to keep adding SMRs. And the question really is what kind of reactor are we doing? Are we doing the thermal or the fast reactor? I do think eventually fast reactors will be the way to go, right? And that's what Oklo does. But there is a concept of maybe less safety surrounding those than traditional thermal, which is what SMR NuScale does. So I do think the conversation probably begins around, we're going to do this anyways, all these guys pop up, and that the lawmakers really, are a bit older and everything, and these ideas like fast reactors, liquid metal cooling, with natrium reactors and stuff like that, can kind of get, I would say, seeded with other conversations of that's not super safe. The thermal is the best bet. So we'll see what happens. This is all stuff just to put on your radar so you can read about it later in your day or whatever you want to do. Let's move a bit. Okay, first off, well, you're just saying this kind of nuclear is not renewable energy. And neither are lithium batteries, obviously, but it can store renewable energy. But just this kind of green energy, I guess we can call it. Arkansas, man, how about this? Turns out, based on a U.S. Geological Survey, that they might have 5 to 19 million tons of lithium, which is enough, I guess, to beat, according to them, to meet projected demand, world demand for lithium car batteries 9 times over. This is super sweet. I guess Exxon has come to them because, again, think about it. This revolution and this gearing up as it's going to be far more nationalized, not meaning that the U.S. government owns these things, but in the sense that it won't be as global and the supply chains won't be as global in these kind of areas going forward. So this is fantastic one for Arkansas. Of course, there's a lot of issues still with how the heck they're going to get it without destroying those beautiful Ozarks. Man, it really is crazy how large this area is. Just the sampling portion itself is just a small portion. The Smackover Formation spreads from the west, I guess you can't really call it a peninsula, I guess so, west peninsula of Texas, all the way into Apalachicola in Florida, which is a massive formation. There are a lot of attempts now to figure out what's the best way to get this stuff out, because we do brine pits. In brine pits, one of the weird kind of ironies of lithium mining, for green energy is that it totally wrecks the area that you get it from, right? I mean, it is a very dirty form of mining. This is the same thing with building, solar panels and stuff like that. And there's going to be a lot of money going into this, I think, in the future. So anyways, we can move on a little bit. You had Stellantis coming out, launching a fleet of EVs that's using factorial solid-state batteries. And so the question is, what is a solid-state battery? And then the answer to that is lithium batteries. Typically, you have your cathode, your anode, all right, and then you have a separator between the two of those, and it's suspended in this kind of electrolyte solution, okay? And that's just the typical way batteries really work in general. And you get the lithium ion transference between the two of those. The separators are there in order to stop arcing and shorting out the battery and all of that kind of stuff. So one of the big issues with how we just do lithium batteries nowadays is that they're kind of heavy, right, with all the electrolyte solution inside of it, and it's not as dense as it could be, so you get these ideas of solid-state batteries. And what a solid-state battery would really be is that liquid electrolyte solution becomes a solid, right? And obviously, if you can make a solid with enough surface area, you can kind of escape some storage issues, I would say, or inefficiencies that exist if you just had a pure kind of liquid. And additionally, it's also a lot less heavy. And so I was actually not familiar with Factorial at all with their solid state batteries. And so I did take a look at kind of what they're doing, and this is what it looks like, right? So it's kind of interesting. This is what they're calling the solid state, essentially. They're calling that the cathode. This is the collector behind it. They have a copper collector behind that. They have FES. This is essentially going to be kind of their separator in a way. And if I remember correctly, the FES is the Factorial Electrolyte System Technology. Okay, so this is what that is. That's kind of interesting. And I guess it does act as a separator as well. With a lithium metal anode, quasi-solid electrolyte, and high-capacity cathode. No, this has got to be that then too, because it's quasi-solid is what they're saying. What I found kind of unique about this, and I don't know if it's the best move, is lithium metal anodes are good, but they suffer from dendritic formations. We'll talk a little bit about this when we get back, and why lithium metal anodes aren't used all the time currently. We'll be right back.
If you're looking for potential trading setups in the stock market, then Rocket Equities and Options Report is a newsletter you should try. Tommy O'Brien delivers options and equity trades when the markets present them, using a combination of fundamentals and technicals. Sign up for Rocket Equities and Options Report today with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to risk. For all the details and to start your subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors. For traders who crave risk, Direxion's daily leveraged and inverse ETFs provide opportunities to magnify short-term perspectives with up to 3 times a daily leverage, utilize bull and bear funds from both sides of the trade, and trade through rapidly changing markets. These are highly leveraged ETFs with daily resetting designed for short-term trading, not long-term investing. Whether you're a bull or a bear, you choose the Direxion. For up-to-date pricing and performance, go to Direxion.com. Investing in the funds involves significant risk and should only be utilized by investors who understand the impact of leverage and actively monitor their portfolio. They are not designed to track the underlying index or security for more than a day. Before investing, carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risk, charges, and expenses contained in the prospectus available at Direxion.com. Read carefully. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
The reality is that navigating financial markets can be risky. Markets can be chaotic and difficult to understand. Having the latest market advice can help you turn this chaos into a key for creating winning trades. At TFNN, we understand that it can be hard to find reliable market news. That's why each of our market experts offers their very own market newsletter. a must-have tool for every trader out there striving to find an edge in today's markets. TFNN newsletters cover every aspect of the markets so you can analyze the market before you trade. Try any of our great newsletters risk-free with our 30-day money-back guarantee. Just visit the newsletters tab on the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
TFNN has launched the Tiger's Den, hosted at Discord. TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. The Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. Sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders. Just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
This program is brought to you by Vista Gold, traded on the NYSE American and TSX under the symbol VGZ.
Tom O'Brien.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Jacob Shoup. You're watching the Tom O'Brien Show. Before we went to the break, we were talking about some new advancements in essentially solid-state batteries for lithium-ion batteries. Okay, basically, I'll wrap this up at least on Factorial because I'm kind of ranting about it a little bit. The issue with lithium metal anodes, traditionally what we use is graphene, right? This is getting like pulled in during charging, right? Towards the anode. This is what the copper collector is. With graphene, you have a lot of these little nodules in the graphene. This is obviously lithium metal anode. The lithium ions, what happens with lithium is it can form dendrites, right? Which you can think about like, you know, the veins on like a leaf or something like that, kind of looking around these ways, or really buildups. You know, I know Z said stalagmites, which is awesome. Yeah, 100%. So with the graphene, because it's so porous, it can kind of intercalate in there, and you avoid this kind of building up, and then you can just let it go, and you're fine, right? Better efficiency, better life on the battery, and stuff like that. And that's what I'm a little bit interested about, why they chose a lithium metal anode and how they're fighting against that. I don't know, and they don't really answer that. But then you have QuantumScape coming out, and it goes up like, let's see if it's up to, so it's off a little bit, but obviously a massive gap up on some news that they made a great move for it, right? They have their first stage Raptor process, begin to produce low volume prototypes. Low volume B sample battery cells from its Raptor production process have been shipped to automotive customer testing. The next Cobra stage of production set to begin in 2025. So there's a lot of good stuff coming for QuantumScape, and I wanted to keep looking at what they were doing using solid state, and I was blown away that their new tech is like anode-less, which is nuts to think about, right? And I was like, how on earth are you able to do that? And they're using essentially the negative collector here as just the thing it sits on, right? And what I would assume from that point then is this kind of this is, again, we're looking at Factorial, but if you can kind of picture what QuantumScape is doing, they don't have this area at all, right? They have a really slim cathode here, and then they have this kind of solid state, like ceramic type deal. They don't talk too much about it. And then just the carbon collector, no anode whatsoever. And what I'm assuming is going on is that when the lithium ions travel this way, whatever that ceramic is somehow operating the same way that graphene operates when it's existing as an anode in current batteries. And that, if true, regardless, whatever QuantumScape is doing, it's a massive move up just in like a technological advancement. So it's kind of cool. I'm going to be following QuantumScape around like quite a bit to see if they release any kind of new technology, or at least not new technology, but just kind of new, I guess, illuminations on what they're doing or whatnot. So, because no doubt the QuantumScape battery, no doubt solid state batteries is going to be the way to go. And I know they're saying in the dead some stuff regarding some, I guess, mass-produced ones in China. I'm not familiar with that one. If you have like an article or something for me to read on that, I would love to, and we can talk about that too, because I think just knowing this tech is so important, and it is going to push us forward. And yeah, kind of interesting. I'll talk about it again because I didn't go through the whole thing and nobody said anything, but I did have my friend ask again. Someone emailed me on it, and it is CRISPR. This is again me trying to outsource any kind of understanding of why this company has such a high valuation. It is kind of doing that thing, so I'm wondering we're gonna move right back up near that 50-49 area and then come back down. If that's the case, as much as I don't really, would not really want to invest in this company, it is super interesting that it just has this trade pattern that it's doing, you know, and obviously, you know, past performance or whatever, not indicative of future results. It drilled that into my head when I was in college, but, you know, this is what I kind of found in Steel Dynamics a few years ago and like just traded around that level, and it was profitable for me. And so I'm gonna see one last time if we can get, you know, to that 50, which is really probably gonna be in some sense like an upper Bollinger Band or something like that, right? If you could think about it that way, and we come back down, then I can see something. But, you know, again, I'm looking at all these insane valuations. We have Royal Bank of Canada. It lowered it to 53. That's still, you know, high off from where we're at right now. Roughly like what, like 10% or something like that. A little bit more. And yet a bunch of other equity groups like saying like something around 100. And I just don't get it. They don't own the CRISPR-Cas9 system. The lady who, I was talking about this the other day, the lady who discovered it and exploited it is the one who owns it. So that's a massive issue for me, at least, in the company. And they only have 2 treatments out for beta thalassemia and sickle cell. And it's like $2 million each. And who's gonna pay for that? Yeah. They do have some stuff for hematopoietic stem cell manipulation, which I think is pretty cool. And that could help people with, you know, with cancer and, you know, particularly like bone cancer or something like that, if done properly, or just anyone who suffers from some kind of, you know, genetic condition that creates, you know, lousy red blood cells, or just doesn't do it at all. So that's kind of cool to think about. But as far as I'm concerned, the only thing I would say that's interesting about this stock is that it's doing this pattern, you know, since the beginning of August, and that's about it. You know, I will say there is some pretty cool stuff coming out that I think is using the CRISPR-Cas9 system, although I'm not sure of that. And so what's going on is they're able to, there's this, I forget his name. He's the guy who founded Venmo, okay? Brian Johnson or something like that. And he's going on this campaign to live forever, as he's calling it, right? And if you're a fan of literature, you understand that this is futile. But I would say that it's interesting to see kind of these longevity practices be put in place. What is the best practice for the human organism? And he went to some island off of Honduras and got this injection. It's some kind of genetic, you know, editing kind of process. And it essentially added mass to his muscles, which is really interesting, with no need of exogenous hormones placed in, which is what we do now. You know, obviously for bodybuilders and stuff like that, but also for like people with like Duchenne's or other kind of muscle wasting kind of problems. And so it was really interesting to see that happen. And they use some kind of plasmid. It uses a tet-on, tet-off kind of process. So in the, you know, presence of tetracycline or in the absence of tetracycline or doxycycline as well, it can start expressing these kind of traits, which is super interesting. So for instance, you get this thing added into you, and you start developing some kind of cancer from it, they can just produce, you know, give you tetracycline and it'll destroy whatever was inserted into your genes. But I don't know, so something like that, right? There was a $20,000 therapy. Something like that is way more able to be commercialized. Do you see what I'm saying? And I don't know if it's using CRISPR-Cas9, because I do know there are some things that are, you know, E. coli, for instance, but even some small plasmids and everything that if you just put a piece of DNA in it, it'll just start replicating it. So I don't know. Anyways, long story short, CRISPR's kind of weird. If you want, you could probably play this 45-50 area, you know, pumps up to 50 or, you know, short it or goes to 45, you know, just buy it for a little bit and then sell off. But again, if you have any information on CRISPR that you think, you know, warrants a closer look or a big buy on it, just let me know. I would love to go over that and think about it.
The stock market is a delicate interconnecting web of commodities, equities, and trader psychology. When one string of the web is pulled, it has a ripple effect across the broader market. This is where opportunity lies. But how are you to gather all of this information into one cohesive model when you're already spending your energy looking for any possible trade opportunities? Luckily, you don't have to worry about that, as Tom O'Brien has brought all important market news to you in one single newsletter, Market Insights. Market Insights provides a daily overview of what's happening in the indexes, bonds, gold, and more. Follow along with Tom daily as he analyzes the components that affect the overall movement of the stock market, giving insight into how each one plays either a bullish or bearish role. Tom also analyzes specific equities that he believes has the potential to make huge returns, and his track record proves his analysis right. All first-time subscribers receive a 30-day money-back guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Don't let the market leave you in the dust.
In the world of trading, only a few names stand out like Larry Pesavento, a pro's pro with over 50 years of experience. Larry has seen it all. A former Chicago Mercantile Exchange member, Larry has authored 10 books and trained over 1,000 traders with his unmatched expertise. Introducing Fibonacci 24/7, Larry Pesavento's daily trading service that turns the complexity of markets into opportunities. Published every Sunday, receive a comprehensive report packed with detailed commentary, charts, and videos that illuminate the patterns shaping the markets, with updates throughout the week exclusively for subscribers. Whether through charts or videos, Larry's analysis is your roadmap to navigating the markets. You can sign up now at TFNN.com for just $97. And with all TFNN newsletters backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee, you have nothing to risk. For all the details, visit TFNN.com. You'll find Fibonacci 24/7 right under the newsletters tab.
The reality is that navigating financial markets can be risky. Markets can be chaotic and difficult to understand. Having the latest market advice can help you turn this chaos into a key for creating winning trades. At TFNN, we understand that it can be hard to find reliable market news. That's why each of our market experts offers their very own market newsletter. A must-have tool for every trader out there striving to find an edge in today's markets. TFNN newsletters cover every aspect of the markets so you can analyze the market before you trade. Try any of our great newsletters risk-free with our 30-day money-back guarantee. Just visit the newsletters tab on the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN. Educating investors.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Jacob Shoup. You're watching the Tom O'Brien Show. We just have a short segment here. I was looking in the den during the break, and Dan was talking about vanadium batteries. And honestly, no, I'm not familiar with those at all, but I was reading a little bit on it. And it's connected with a term called flow batteries. And see, this is why I love talking about stuff like this on these shows, right? Because it gets this dialogue going of this is all, potential, right? All opportunities here. Let's say we start looking at it, I was like, you know what? It was the same thing with nuclear 6 years ago. Everyone was like, no one's going to do that ever again. I knew someone who was in environmental sciences at USF, and I always remember, I was talking to them. I was like, you ever speak about, uranium or nuclear power or anything like this? And they're like, no, that's all, BS or whatever. It's never going to be used. It's not good. It's evil. Yeah, da. And it's like, well, that's not true anymore, right? And it's patently not true because you get these guys who are trying to build this kind of stuff and use it. And, I see stuff like, bringing up vanadium batteries and flow batteries in the same way, which I think is awesome. Should always try to learn more and more because it just gives you a kind of a little plug-in to things that you might not be aware of and might put you on a trail that could be somewhat profitable. So we'll see what happens with all of that. I really appreciate the input from everyone on that because I think it was really neat. And it'd be amazing to see Arkansas become like the Saudi Arabia of lithium. They deserve it. Those Ozarks is gorgeous. Additionally, as well, talk a little bit about Honeywell. They had a good rather mixed Q3 earnings, but everything was all right on them. Let's take a look at the stock right here. But essentially, they're teaming up with Google. Let's see here. Well, okay, the stock did not respond positively to it. I don't know if that was like an over expectation. They didn't do like horribly or anything like that. They had revenue growing of 6% year over year. Anyways, they're partnering with Google Cloud to accelerate autonomous operations with AI agents for the industrial sector. So this realm of operational technology and bringing AI to it is massive. And that's where you start seeing Google start getting some money here, especially with that investment they made. Folks, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Thank you for being here this week. It means a lot. We'll see you Monday.
Building